Hi, second graders. Miss Lloyd here. I just wanted to do a quick little lesson on central message or the lesson of short stories, fables, or folk tales. I know that we've been talking about the central message for the last couple weeks, and we've been doing different stories and discussing those things. And tomorrow, there's actually going to be a paper or a Google form, I should say, to show what you know about central message or lesson or moral of a story. So be on the lookout for that. So it's really important that you pay attention today so that way it helps you out for tomorrow. All right. So I'm going to take myself off the screen so you guys can see my screen. So, like I said, today we're going to be focusing on determining the central message or lesson in a story. And you might see some familiar pictures on the cover page of the screen because they're all different stories that we've read about these past couple of weeks. All right, so for today, the focus is to number one, determine the central message, lesson, or moral of these short stories. So you might hear me say central message, you might hear me say lesson, or you might even hear me say moral. They all mean the same thing. They're just the lesson that the author is trying to teach you so that way you can apply it in your own life. So it's kind of like a life lesson that the character learns, but it's also a lesson that you can learn from reading these short stories. Another focus for today is finding details in the story to show how you know that the character learned that particular lesson or moral that you figured out. All right, so just finding clues that give it away that, yeah, I know that they learned that lesson because this is what happened. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So, to get us started, what is a lesson? So, other words like you heard me say on the other page that I could say is central message or even the word moral. They all mean the same thing. So, a lesson is what the story can teach us. So, it's a lesson that the character learns, but it's also a lesson that we can learn from the story. So, some common examples of some lessons from different fables or short stories are to do your best, or even to be nice to others, or tell the truth, never give up, be a friend, or even be brave. These are all common examples that you might come across when you're reading different fables, folk tales, or short stories that have these lessons in them. So, the first story that we read when we started our distance learning was The Lion and the Man. So, we read about how these two characters felt that they were the stronger person or animal of the two. And the lion felt that he was stronger, but the man said, no, I'm stronger because there's a statue that's proving that men are stronger because it defeated a lion. But the lion said, well, if a lion created that statue, I think it would be the other way around. I think the lion would be standing over the defeated man. So it really showed us that the moral or the lesson of the story is the truth belongs to the one telling the story. So from each of their point of views, they thought that they were right, that they were the stronger of the two. But it really depends on the person telling it because they both felt the same way. The other story we read was The Foolish Milkmaid, and we learned about how this milkmaid was carrying a milk pail on her head to the market. And she was thinking about and daydreaming about how she was planning on selling this milk to buy some eggs, and then the eggs were going to hatch to become chickens, and the chickens would then lay more eggs. So then she could sell these chickens and these eggs to the market. And with all the money that she would make, she would be able to buy the prettiest dress with the prettiest ribbon, like she was kind of daydreaming about. And when she was daydreaming, she flung her hair like she was flinging her hair, and the whole milk pail came crashing down. So things did not turn out the way she planned, and she ended up not making all this money. So the lesson that she learned and the lesson that we can learn is to never count on things turning out as you planned. You can really, really plan and prepare for everything to go smoothly, but sometimes things just don't work out that way. The other story we read was Why the Sky is Far Away. And this was about how the characters, they received their food from the sky. And the sky was super, super close to them, so they could reach out and grab the food right from him. But the characters became greedy and they kept taking more than what they needed. So the cloud and the sky got angry about this, and he warned them. He said, "If you keep doing this, I'm not going to be as close anymore." Um, and they listened for a little while, but then they fell back into their old ways. And they really felt they were taking more and more than what they actually needed. So the sky said, "I'm done." And he moved far away so that way they could not reach him anymore and they couldn't get their food from the sky anymore. So the lesson that they learned and the lesson that we can learn is to be thankful for what you have, to not always take and take and take and get more and more when you should just be thankful for what you do have and not to be greedy to just want more and more. And the last story that we read in our phonics book was The Boy Who Cried Wolf. And this was about a boy who was looking after sheep. And he thought it was so, so funny to joke around about a wolf coming. And the villagers were all come running, and then he would say, "Ha ha, I played a trick on you." Because there was no wolf. He was just joking around. But then there was a time where there actually was a wolf, and he cried out, and he said, "I'm not tricking this time." But no one came to help because they all thought he was joking around. So he learned the lesson, and a lesson that we can learn is to always tell the truth. If you lie often, people stop believing you. So that's the lessons that we learned with the different short stories that we read about. So let's get to some new reading. The first story is about Kevin and a candy bar. So I want you to listen as I read aloud, and I want you to think about what is the life lesson that Kevin is learning from his experiences, and what is something that you could learn from this story. So Kevin had a problem. He was obsessed with eating candy. His mom told him to stop eating so much of it because he got belly aches, but he did not listen. Kevin was bored on Wednesday, so he snuck into the kitchen and ate an entire candy bar. For the next 3 hours, Kevin had to lay down on the couch because he had such a bad belly ache. He knew he should have listened to his mom. Next time, he will listen. So I want you to think for a moment. What is the lesson of the story? What is the lesson that the character learned, and what do you think is the lesson that the author wants you to learn from this story? So I want you to think for a moment about that question, and you can pause the video. You can tell a sibling, a parent, or even just say it out loud to the screen. That's fine too. So what is the lesson that the character learned, the life lesson that they learned? Okay, so we're back. If you pause the video or if you already said out your lesson, here is what I came up with. So I said the lesson of the story is to always listen to your parents. Because right here in the story, he said that his mom told him to stop eating so much of it because he got belly aches, but he did not listen. So it's showing me right here that he's not listening to his parents and something happens because of it. So because he didn't listen to his parents, he learned a valuable lesson that he needs to listen to his parents. His parents are only looking out for what's best for him. So now I want you to think about what details or clues from this story help teach the character that lesson of always listening to the parents. So think about what happened to Kevin in the story and tell me what events happened that caused him to learn to that he should always listen to his parents. So you can pause the video, take a moment, either tell it to a sibling, to the screen, or to a parent. What events or clues gave it away that the character learned their lesson. And then once you have that, we're going to talk about it. Okay. So I know when I was looking back in this story, I found that some clues that kind of gave away what kind of taught him that lesson. Well, right here it says that he ate an entire candy bar and that he had to lay down on the couch because he had such a bad bellyache. And he even said that he's going to listen to his mom the next time. So those were clues or events that happened in the story that really gave away that he learned his lesson that he should always listen to his parents. So I put it in my own words and I said, Kevin learned this lesson because he ate a bunch of candy and got a bellyache. He said he would listen to his mom the next time. So those were the events that really helped teach the character that lesson to always listen to your parents. So see how I use clues from that story? That's what we want you guys to do. So now the next story is all about Danny and an iPad. So listen carefully as I read this aloud. We're only going to review the lesson that he learned together, and then you're going to be on your own with telling me how you know he learned that lesson. What clues or details from the story kind of proves that he learned whatever lesson that we go over. All right, so listen carefully as I read this aloud. Danny saw his friends playing on the classroom iPad. He knew he wanted a turn. He decided to tell the boys that the teacher said it was his turn. The boys felt sad, but still gave Danny the iPad. The entire time, Danny played on the iPad. He felt guilty for telling a lie. He went to the other boys and gave them the iPad and told them he was sorry for not being honest. So I want you to think for a moment. What is a lesson that Danny learned from his experience? So what is the lesson that the author is really trying to teach you too? So not only did Danny learn this, but what can you learn from this story? So you can take a minute to pause, kind of talk with a family member, or say it to the screen, that's fine too. So when I looked at this, I saw that in the beginning, he knew he wanted to turn with the iPad and he decided to lie and say that the teacher said something that she never said. So that's telling me that he's lying, and lying, I know, is not a good thing. So the lesson that I came up with is the lesson of the story is to always tell the truth. So just like in The Boy Who Cried Wolf, I feel like the lesson here was that Danny learned and that the author wanted to teach us is to always tell the truth. It's never good to lie. So your challenge now is you're going to be answering this question right here. So what events in the story, so what details or things happened in the story that help teach the character the lesson? So we figured out that the lesson is to always tell the truth. So what details from this story show us that he learned his lesson? All right, so I'm making it bigger on the screen for you so that way you can reread it. And I even wrote down here the question again. I said, Danny learned to always tell the truth. So which details from the story show us that he learned that lesson? So I want you to reread and really find some events from the story that show that he learned to always tell the truth. So once you've found that answer, you're going to write down your answer on a piece of paper and you're going to submit a picture of your work on ClassDojo Portfolio. So make sure you put the date at the top and your answer right below it, okay? So that way we can see who is submitting their work and on the date, the correct date. All right, so nice job today, boys and girls. I look forward to seeing all your work submitted on ClassDojo. Keep up the good work, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye.